Alright guys, so here we are, we're back with another Hobby Basics 101. This time we're looking at layering. What's layering? So, in a nutshell, it's the process of bringing your base coat colour back and applying it, not quite as a highlight, but applying it around where the shade has settled and re-establishing a good base coat for your highlights moving forward. So there's a couple of things to know about this. It's going to be a short one, but it's an important step of the display painting process, or the high level miniature painting process, to take it beyond that battle ready level. So let's get down to the painting table now, and I'll start showing you on a couple of models a few things about layering. So here we are, we've got our Space Marine back in that we did in our base coating and washing video. There's not much here to actually layer up. So we're going to look at the red around the chainsword and that bolt pistol. So what do we need? We need to pull back out our Mephiston red, the same as our base coat. And all this is, we're basically going to do the same thing as a base coat, but just be a bit more careful with it. So we'll come in there, we've got our mix done the same as our base coat, you know, 50-50 with water, so it's nice and flowy and thin. And all we're going to do is just come in and apply this around the areas where that wash has gathered. So come in, especially on these flats like this, we can hit them. It's good to use a smaller brush so that you have a bit more control. And just quickly hit all these areas just like that. Now when you get down to this bottom grip here, we want to purely keep it out of those recesses and just hit these top flat edges like this and leave that agractor shade in those deep sections. Once you've done that, you can just sort of finish it off. Again, we've got a panel join just above this. Just finish that off by coming along the top there. Follow that all the way around. And we can do the underside. With the chainsword, it's much the same thing, except this time we don't actually have much. We've just got this one little thing here, this sprocket wheel pin. So how do we do that? Well, it's simple. Just bring your paint in. I'm going to spread it down towards the bottom there and bring it around that little shadow line that's been created. And I'm just going to leave a little bit of the original, what we refer to as coffee stain, over the red, just to help gradiate it out a little bit. And we could just go ahead and do that. So on the back here, there's nothing to really look at. We can almost just belt the hole back in. There is just this little panel up here, but the rest of it, just run your brush down it and just reapply that layer in a nice even coat. We can then pick out this little square here as a highlight. And that's it. As you can see already, that is changing the complete look of the model again and making it not look so washed out. So what I'll do, I'll just continue on here and keep applying these layers like this, and we'll check it out once we are finished. So again, we're going to do the same sort of thing on this pouch down here. Now this is a little bit more interesting because it has got some crevices and that to it, but they're not all that deep, so we can just sort of re-base coat like I said and just leave that shade in the recesses. Now, generally with your relayering, you only need one coat. If you're going over a really dark wash with a lighter colour, you may need to give it two. So we'll go ahead and finish this now, and what I'll do, I'll come in and show you this other technique with requiring two coats, and how with just a little bit of thought you can actually make it work to your advantage really well. So I'll finish this one up now, and we'll come back and swap to a different model and have a bit of a look at that. So here we are with the Terminator Librarian from the Leviathan box, and it's a great sculpt. It's got lots of detail, so unlike with our Assault Intercessor model where we could just recess wash around each of the panels, because of all these rune insignia details that are covering the model on nearly every single panel, we've actually had to do this as an all over wash. And this is where layering really comes back in, because you can see the difference in the color between those two. This one is very dark compared to this vibrancy of the blue on this Assault Intercessor, and I want this to have that vibrant blue. But Drakenhof Nightshade is a very dark shade to try and recover. Sometimes it may need two coats to help cover this, the same as doing any base coat. So let's go in panel by panel, and what we're going to do is just relayer over that and let it dry. So just the same as we did on the chainsword and the bolt pistol and the pouch of that Assault Intercessor, we're just going to go in and just basically paint between the lines. The wash has created dark lines for you to follow, and we want to keep them dark, so paint between the lines. Just like that. So what I'll do, I'll go ahead and I'll get this leg pad, knee pad, front leg pad, whatever you'd like to call it, done. And then we can come back and have a look at whether or not it requires a second coat and how we go about applying our second coat to that. So as you can see, we've now coated that up, and it still looks a little bit see-through, especially around this area here. So what we do for our second coat, we just come in a little bit narrower just to help sort of blend that out a little bit more. Now all this is going to do is enrich that colour a bit more, but it allows us, like I said, to create a bit of a blend in there and allow just a little bit more gradient. So now we can go around to this other side here. We just want to give it a bit more of a natural look rather than the harshness of the dark to the light being so instantaneous. So we can quite easily do that. Now this is ideal for things like cloaks and cloth surfaces and things of that nature. So it's a really simple thing to do that just helps add to it. And as you can see, it's the same technique I've actually done here on this model. So I've started off darker. I have not washed this model at all. I've started off with a super dark coat and then just layered it up over numerous layers. So I've got one layer there, I've come out a little bit wider and created a second, a third, a fourth and a fifth, until I've created some nice natural looking gradients on that cloth. So I'll go ahead and get the rest of this model done now, and then we'll come back in a bit. So that's it, guys. There's a couple of techniques there that I hope you guys have picked up. First things first, don't be afraid to bring back your base coat, apply it, leave it a little bit away. We've got that darkest line in the recess. We can then come just past that line, leave another little line of our sort of coffee stained base coat, and reapply that base coat just so that it cleans it up. It's not coffee stained, it's a nice neat surface to work from moving forward for your highlights. Going over your washes, like I said before, you might have a really dark wash with a really vibrant colour that you're going to be using. You may have to reapply that twice. If that's the case, just step it in a little bit further again, and it just helps create a nice natural blend from that deepest shadow where the shade is sitting to your base coat, ready for your highlight stage. Finally, as I showed you in that Steel Legion miniature with the mustard greatcoat or trench coat, you don't have to wash models. That entire model has actually been done from a base coat of Mournfang brown right through Balor brown and into Screaming Skull or Ushabti bone, just by layering and ending up with our Ushabti bone as our highlight. There's going to be a full video on that model coming out this week, so check that one out if you want to know how to properly layer and blend a model like that in 5 or 6 different layers. This video is just to get you started down that path of layering, so I hope that you guys have learnt something from it. What we're going to do now, we're going to take it another step, and this is going to be the final step to get us through our fundamentals. Next week we're going to have a look at highlighting. Now, there's a few tricks about highlighting, there's a few really cool key points, a few little hobby cheats that we can look at there. So get your models laid, get them ready for a highlight, and we'll see you next week where we will finalise these miniatures from battle ready to parade ready. Have a good week, guys, and we'll see you all in the next video.